I'm here with Jane and Warren from IRESS. So starting with you, Jane, very quickly, I know you guys have been super duper busy. I've heard there's been loads of innovations, lots of exciting stuff and initiatives happening within the IRESS program. So tell us a little bit about some of the innovations you've been working on, some of the things that are new to the systems.
Yes, absolutely. So we've been spending quite a lot of time this year looking at the balance between premium, benefit and value and quality. So quite a lot of things have been going on. So we've recently done a load of updates to our protection services, our term services. So we introduced ex-smoker questions. So this allows providers to sort of come back with premiums that actually take ex-smoker into consideration. So that's really good. So you're getting that product price certainty up front. We found actually within the first few weeks of launching that when anyone said they were an ex-smoker, 70% of ex-smokers were actually within that 5-year period. That meant that 70% of people that were ex-smokers were getting a more valuable premium, a more accurate premium up front. So that was really good.
That's really, really important.
Yeah.
And it's quite common, isn't it, actually, these days, particularly as people move away from smoking, it's become a bit less fashionable. So I think capturing that's really, really important, because otherwise, as you said, we could be producing bad outcomes. People could be getting quotes that actually are not as accurate or as reasonable as they could be. So yeah, overcoming a big issue. That's brilliant.
So we've done that. We've been doing some more work on our product features proposition. So this is where we talk about the value that the protection policy has beyond the financial elements. So we started to add that more into the UI. So now that there's more filtering options available to you. So that's really good as well. That's some of the biggest feedback we had from advisors, is actually we can see the features, but actually we'd like to be able to search for them and look for them. So we're doing that as well. We've also seen, in terms of the work that we've been doing as well, we've also introduced the idea of factors as well. So rather than the UI being ordered on premium, it's actually ordered on factors considered. So how accurate the pricing is. So again, it's about that product price certainty for the advisor up front. So rather than having to look for the premiums and then find the product. So that's really great. We're about to launch that on our IP service as well in the next 2 weeks as well. So it'd be great to see that coming there as well, and see the impact from a smoker point of view on how that has on the IP products as well. Beyond that, we've actually been spending quite a lot of time talking to CI experts. So we obviously have quite a close relationship with the CI expert team, and we've obviously got an integration with them, but we've been working very closely with them to do something different within the market. And I can't talk about that too much, but there'll be much more there. So there'll be more coming out about that soon, but we are really excited about that. That's something that nobody else has done. It's really, as I said, it's about bringing that premium, that fit, that benefit, and that quality piece together and putting it up front for the advisor.
I think that's really important. And I love to hear innovations like this, because for me, the number one thing here is to try and stop the conversation being all about price.
Absolutely.
All about price. And I love these innovations, mainly because I think as well, the price certainty piece you're talking about is so important. What I've found when I've been coaching advisors is a lot of it comes down to this idea of expectation management. And if you manage the customer's expectations well at the beginning, if they're expecting a conversation around it, if they understand what it's likely to actually cost, the worst thing you can do is mismanage that and end up them looking at a premium that's significantly different to what you originally spoke to them about, because it kind of loses that sense of trust and certainty that they've got with the recommendation. So these things for me are really, really important.
Yeah, and it was quite scary doing it, actually, because obviously being a price comparison site, when you think about how portals were historically, changing from having that premium driven to having that, that certainty, that we're just wondering, what advisors would make of that. And I think, we've had some amazing feedback. I mean, you've had some amazing feedback, and we also track the usage of it as well. And we do give them the option to actually go back to having a premium-led results screen, and 94% of them still want to go factors led. So it's all about that product price certainty and not the premium. And that's highlighting what the industry wants to do, really, isn't it?
I think that's wonderful. And I think it's probably overcoming a lot of these preconceived ideas that we've all got. That it's a price issue. It isn't. It's not a price issue. At the end of the day, and it's funny because this is the whole concept of the true value of protection, right? Drilling down to those elements, those factors that really matter to customers, making sure we can manage their expectations and produce outcomes that everyone can be happy with. That's really exciting. That's super. So Warren, if you don't mind, I'm really keen to understand, when advisors are having these conversations with their customers, with all these new initiatives that you've got within the platform, how can they bring those to life? How can they actually integrate them into the conversations and make a difference in terms of driving customers towards products that offer greater value than just being price?
Yeah, so, well, as Jane said, busy doing loads of work. We've built everything, I say we, mainly Jane, has built everything in such a way that everything's there, right? So we've discussed the smokers piece, the features piece, And what Jane didn't mention is that most of this has come from direct feedback from our customers that we bring into the office at our forums that we host. So bring everyone together and say, how can we as a tech partner push the industry forward and help drive more sales? So everything's all within our UI, but obviously we've got our mortgage proposition as well that we can touch on a bit, but everything is there, and we run training, we run webinars. So everything we're doing, as Jane said, the 94% now moving away from the price, which is fabulous. Everything we're doing is around the product rather than, just the price. The mortgage piece as well, if we can touch on that as well. And you mentioned about, having the conversation up front. That is exactly the reason why the exchange from Iress is a customer of our mortgage sourcing system. So at time of running a mortgage quote, protection quotes done in the background at the same time to enable the customer to have that conversation around price at point of mortgage
and what
recommendation.
impacts that having on conversations move? Because obviously you're doing it automatically. I mean, in my coaching, I encourage advisors to do it.
Yeah.
I tell advisors to do it. Again, going down to the expectation management piece. If the customer's expecting a conversation around protection alongside the mortgage and it's well managed, we've seen in the work that I've done anyway, huge uptake in the number of customers taking those recommendations. So do you have any sort of stats or justifications to the difference it's making?
We do, yeah. So we've seen an increase from about 37% in 2022 up to about 41% of mortgage brokers now doing protection quotes as a result of having that through.
So it does make
through
a
the
difference.
Oh, absolutely does,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't that amazing?
it is. Yeah. We need to get that number up higher, but it is
Well,
good.
of course, yeah. But hopefully with the focus on quality and product and factors rather than just price, that will change. So it's not even just about writing more protection business, about writing more higher quality protection business. And where customers see the value in something, they're less likely to cancel it. So a lot of the objections I hear from advisors when I go through coaching programs is that a lot of them are worried about things like clawbacks and cancellations. And I keep reminding them, but if you're writing recommendations based on quality and customers understand the value behind it, they are less likely to cancel. So all of these innovations are really interesting. It's fascinating. I wasn't quite expecting such a big jump.
Yeah, I think that. Look, I think we were quite nervous about when we did the ex-smoker piece, right? Because what the factors considered, because we are moving away from purely price, which is what portals have always done. So we were all a bit nervous about that. But the stat that Jane mentions, and often, why would you show the customer a quote that they can't have? So if you knew they were a smoker or they were an ex-smoker and you were getting rates back that were for non-smokers, well then that's not relevant. So let's try and bring more of this into the portal to enable that that conversation to be had around what is relevant for the customer.
I was about to say, it's really interesting to me. So a lot of the work I'm doing with firms and advisors is talking to them about the suitability of the recommendation for the customer's specific needs, right? And this idea that when you're recommending something to a customer and you're giving advice, you want that product to look as if it's been designed with the client in mind, right? Because otherwise, if you go in there and let's say we're having a conversation around income protection and the sick pay doesn't match up with the deferred periods, there's an obvious thought in the client's mind, well, this product hasn't been designed with me in mind. It doesn't suit me. So the more you can do using technology to try and drill down to a product that genuinely meets the needs and the circumstances the customer you're speaking to, the more likely they're going to buy into it and see the value of it, right?
Absolutely. It's about helping the advisor find the product, the right fit. It's about that personalisation, which we've talked about in the past, isn't it? It's about products are moving more that way now anyway. More providers are putting products out there that they are designed around personalisation, and it's more about the features and benefits rather than just the financial gain. And utilising software, which is what I really want to do, is to put that in front of the advisor and make it easier for them to have that upfront conversations. And it's really nice when I see stats, when I see, we do things and sometimes it's a bit of a change, it's a bit of a leap. But seeing those stats and seeing, the impact we're having, I think that's for me is the best bit.
It's really encouraging for me. It's really encouraging for me that you have taken these steps and that we're looking to move away from price and focus on quality. Because, I've been saying it for years, but without the support of technology providers like yourselves, engineering those changes, there is this inevitability that people take the path of least resistance and it defaults to a price-led conversation. So I think the role of technology providers in doing that and making it easier for advisors to have those quality conversations, whether it's CI Expert, whether it's sourcing platforms like yours, I think that's pivotal for me in terms of moving the needle forward and everyone having those more quality-led conversations. And the other thing I'd like to say as well, I think is really interesting, and I know we haven't talked about this before, but for me, as someone who's coaching advisors, I've noticed that the level of product complexity, the number of value-added services, additional benefits, options, It's kind of almost like, in the mortgage market, you've got like 90, 100 lenders, all the different lending criteria that sits behind it. It's very hard to navigate all of that when you're an advisor and understand it. And it is, despite the fact that we've seen a slight reduction in the number of providers in the market in protection, it's still quite complex to understand how you can navigate through all those different options to find something that works for the customer, right?
Absolutely. If you think about critical illness as a prime example of that, if you think about all of the things that you can claim for, and you think about all the policies that are available as an advisor, and remembering that, and I think that's where technology plays a part, really. That's about bringing all that information together to support the advisor. It's not, it's there to sort of almost like an advisor co-pilot, really. It's absolutely there just to help the advisor get to the point where they're choosing the exact right product for their client.
I love that. And I think the easier we make it, sorry, go on.
I was just going to add, underwriting limits is another one. So we've, again, at our most recent forum, people are saying they've got a spreadsheet for this and they've got a PowerPoint deck for that that they have to maintain.
Absolutely.
And spoiler alert, that might be something that we're looking at. Bringing
this is exactly what I'm talking about. I love the idea that you've got these focus groups, by the way, because I think these forums and focus groups are really good, because I often find as an industry, we tend to operate in almost like silos, and there's not a lot of backwards communication. And I think it's really important to engage advisors, because ultimately, we have created a distribution model that means advisors are the one having the conversations and distributing the products. So if we can make it easy for them, if we can remove a lot of those barriers and those pain points and almost distill it down and make decisions easier for them, with the work you're doing with CI Expert, with the stuff that you've got within, the value-based stuff and the other stuff that you've got going on in the platforms, I think we're going to increase the likelihood both of better customer outcomes and better conversations for advisors, because it is being led in the right direction rather than just being about price.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the forum for us is about getting everybody in the room together, talking, not just to us, but to each other. And that's the key to it is, distribution, talking to providers and telling them what their concerns and what their challenges are, and the providers hearing it firsthand and then coming back with what they think. And
really important.
It
honest feedback, right? Honest feedback.
Absolutely. And it means that, I think we've done 5 forums now?
5 now, yeah.
And every single forum, we've come out of that. Well, I've come out with that with some homework, okay? We would like you to look at this. We would like you to sort of see what you can do with technology to support us. And that's what all of the innovation for the last few years has come out of, is based on the feedback we've had at those forums and listening to what everyone said. And
it's clearly working, because you're making changes to the platform that genuinely are aiding advisors and having those right conversations. And it's encouraging to see. I'm fascinated. Do you know what? The thing that's probably made my day, actually, is to hear that you've seen really positive feedback from that. And like you said, I think it was 94%, was it you were saying? That to me has probably made my day above all else, because you would assume, rightly or wrongly, given the way the market's been for a number of years, that people would still prefer to have price-led conversations, right?
That's not what we're hearing from advisors. That's not what we're hearing from advisors.
Makes me so happy.
Because, the product features, this was driven from the fact that it's not just about the price, it's the value to our clients. And that's what they've been asking for ages. So, all we're doing is just extending that.
I love that. And do you know something? Talk about the true value protection. For me, this is brilliant, because it just goes to show it's not that customers don't want protection. I don't believe that for a second, but I've been saying it for years. I don't believe that customers don't want protection. We just need to make it easier for advisors to demonstrate the value that sits behind it. And I think that's what you guys are doing with these platforms. So fantastic. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you both.
Thanks.